I'm going to show you how easy it is to change the fuel filter on this 2016 VW T6 Transporter and why you should too. Tools you're going to need for this one are a T25 Torx bit and screwdriver, something along them lines, a 10mm socket or spanner, a screwdriver of some description just for helping with those clips on the pipes, a torch, electronic service tool for bleeding the filter, a bucket to keep your old filter in and so you can dispose of it, and obviously a new filter to fit. Right, so first off we need to find the fuel filter. So we obviously need the bonnet open and looking down behind the header tank. And so that is the fuel filter just there. So the two pipes coming out the top of it and the silver disc shape, that is the top of the fuel filter. And just so we're all on the same page, this is the new one. So as you've just seen, two pipes on the top, round, that is the new fuel filter. So first up, we're going to grab a T25 Torx bit, a screwdriver, and we're just going to take the mounting bolts out that hold the header tank or coolant reservoir, just to give it a little bit more room in behind it. So that's the two screws out, and then basically the reservoir is kind of hooked in, so we'll just need to pull it up a little bit till it pops out and then let it sit back down, and that, just with a little bit of movement on there, should give us enough space to get the filter out. So next up, we're going to take the two pipes off the fuel filter. Now you can get proper pliers that pull the little tabs in, but you can do it with your fingers or a little screwdriver. So I'm going to demonstrate that just with a screwdriver. So they are plastic though, so be careful if you're using screwdrivers. They are two different sizes as well, so when you're putting them back on, you shouldn't be able to get them the wrong way around. So just going to push this little tab in here, and then if we give it a wiggle and a pull up, it should come straight off like that. And there will be a little bit of diesel just drips out of these pipes. Get that out of the way somehow. So this one is slightly different. So clip, same sort of principle though. There's a clip on the side that needs pressed in. Now, I could probably do this with my fingers, but just so you can see, I'll try and use the screwdriver. So that's the clip pushed in, and again, give it a wiggle and it should pop back off. Now you can see, obviously, there are two different sizes. Now that pipe is going to be easier to just get pushed back out of the way. Right, now the next thing we need to do is, it's going to be pretty difficult to see, but just where my finger is just down from here, there is a 10mm spanner, I think it is, and a bolt that nips the filter that holds it in place. Now we'll grab a socket. I'm just going to put that 10mm socket, and this is just a little quarter drive ratchet, and we'll slacken, just get that bolt slackened off, and that should release the filter. Just be careful not to screw the bolt all the way out. Now I don't know if I can get this out. It takes a bit of working out, but it should wrangle out of here like that. And there is the old filter out. So getting the filter back in is a repeat process of taking it out. A little bit of wiggling. And she's in. So with the new filter now in, we're going to first nip up that little retaining bolt that holds the filter in place. we'll just give that a little nip up. Check it's secure. Right. Now we will just pop these little caps off. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to put this one on first, because this pipe here, I do believe, is the one that comes from the tank. Now, to bleed these vehicles properly, you do need an electronic tool, something like this. Now, this I think was a couple of £100, just over a couple of £100. It's quite handy for what it does. Some of these do have a dedicated option in here where you can go in the service menu and just run the charge pump, lift pump, whatever you want to call it, which will bleed the fuel system or bleed the low pressure side of the fuel system. Now this one, it does do it, but it hasn't in the service section. You've got to go into the engine diagnostics and run the diagnostics on the fuel pump, low pressure pump, and it will basically run the pump and you can get it to bleed the fuel through. Now I'll do a little demonstration with a clear pipe so you can see exactly what that looks like. Right, so what I shall do is I'll take this second cap off and we'll put this bit of clear pipe on there. Right, now I'll go and connect my tool up. Right, now that is the test running, so within a little bit of time they should see some fuel coming through our clear pipe. There you go, you can see the bubbles coming through, so that is pushing all the air out of our new filter. So we'll just let that go for a little bit until the majority of the air bubbles are out of there. Well, I would have liked to run that test until the pipe was fully clear, but my bottle was almost full, so I didn't want that spilling anywhere. So what we'll do is we'll pull our clear pipe off, we'll put the proper pipe back on the vehicle. So the second pipe we took off at the beginning, we'll push that on, clip that on, make sure that one's on, and then I'll run that test for a bit longer and that'll get all the air pushed out. Right, well, we've run that test now for another minute or two. You can actually hear it when it's running, and when there's air in it, you can hear it, but it sounds like it's running nice and clear there now. So we're going to finish up. We've got no leaks from the pipes or anything, so we're going to finish up and put the header tank back in its place. So again, with this, just need to get the little locating things lined up, pop it back into place, and then put our two screws back in. I'll just give them a little nip, just another little check, and there's no leaks from anywhere, so we all look good in that respect. Right, so next thing is we're just going to get the van, we're just going to start it up, let it run for a couple of minutes. Right, that's her all run up and no issue. So just going to have another little check and just make sure we've got no leaks from our pipes, which everything all looks good down there. So that concludes the filter change. Stick a comment down below if you think this is a job you could tackle yourself at home. Now this job has took about 15 minutes for me to do. If I hadn't obviously have been messing on with the clear pipe on the filter, it's about a 10-15 minute job. But I also have a few other videos on the channel regarding maintenance on this van, so please go and check them out. Now I mentioned at the start I was going to tell you why I think you should be changing the fuel filter. Now there's a few recommendations online on when you should be changing your fuel filter, but basically I stick with doing mine once a year, and I'm probably doing about 5,000 miles a year with the van. So that's probably way more than what really needs to be changed. But for £25 for the new filter, it's hardly worth not doing. Now, especially when you consider what the cost of the high pressure fuel system on modern diesels can cost if you have any problems with it, or if there's any contamination gets in the system, then you start having breakdowns of high pressure pumps, injectors fail and that sort of thing, and them sort of repairs can run into thousands. So for the sake of changing a filter once a year, I certainly think it's something that you should be doing. Just to give you an idea, you've got the tank where the fuel is. Now, this van has a pump in the tank, which basically this is part of the low pressure system. Now, that pump pumps fuel up to the filter. It goes through the filter, and then from the filter, it goes to the high pressure pump that is run off the engine. Now, the high pressure pump will push the pressure in the fuel rail up to anything up to 2000 bar when the engine's under maximum load. So from the fuel rail, the high pressure fuel then sits at each injector, and the injectors are electronically fired as and when they need to when the engine is running. So a 2000 bar fuel system, as you can imagine, is a very high pressure. So all of them components on the high pressure side are manufactured to very fine tolerances. So any sort of contaminants getting into that system can cause some of them components to fail. And like I've already touched on, them components are very expensive. And if you get, say, a pump fail, if it starts degrading and fails, you then have contamination through the whole system. And it's a very labor intensive job to put everything right. So that is why we change the fuel filter quite regularly. If you've liked this video, please give it a like and subscribe to the channel, and go and check out some of my other VW transporter maintenance related content. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next one.